So as a homeowner, you guys have decided that you're going to introduce or entertain a cash home buyer as a potential option. This is an option that's getting exercised more and more openly and commonly that we're seeing here at KC Property Guys. You don't necessarily have to sell homes through the traditional real estate methods anymore. You have that option, but you don't have to. And we get a lot of phone calls here at KC Property Guys that kind of talk about that subject, you know, early on in our conversations quite a bit, where they're like, you know, I don't know much about this. I don't know much about the process, but I'm here to kind of explore, and that's what we openly ask, you know, homeowners to do, is explore the option. It doesn't hurt to have a cash home buyer in your house to entertain options that are alternative to the traditional real estate methods. You don't have to go through all the showings. You don't have to renegotiate contracts. You don't have to have the 10-day inspections and resolutions, and you don't have to go through pre-qualifications of buyers and renegotiate and resolution items, things of that nature. All of that can kind of be avoided through streamlined process of working through a cash home buyer that goes to the house once, inspects the home, is going to purchase it as is, as it sits, is most likely going to buy it in cash on a closing date at which you want and ultimately are looking for. So there's a lot of flexibility and variables there. Ultimately, it comes down to price and choices for you as a homeowner. So we encourage you to explore that type of option. Now, how to qualify a cash home buyer is another story, because there are many people who kind of call themselves investors, but may not be the type of investor that you're ultimately looking for. So we always encourage homeowners to do your homework. Go to the web, let Google be your guide. Take a look at the reviews. Make sure that the cash home buyer has a website specifically that you can go to and reference their material. See if there's other reviews of other people who have worked with that cash home buyer. Do they have a BBB, a Better Business Bureau profile? What's their rating on the BBB? Are they insured? Are they registered with the state of Kansas or the state of Missouri? Do they have an LLC, or are they just working under a sole proprietorship? There's lots of back-end research that you can do with a company to ensure that you're working with a reputable cash home buyer that will be there the day that you ultimately want to sell and close on that home, and will come through at the prices that you guys have negotiated. So doing that homework on the back end can save a lot of headache on the front end when ultimately deciding if this is the method that you ultimately want to go. You can also ask questions to that cash home buyer, whether they're actually going to buy the house as a cash home buyer, or ultimately are they going to push that house or ultimately sell that house to a third party as a wholesaler. If you want to deal with someone direct as a cash home buyer, specifically ask who's going to be purchasing that house, because wholesalers are the types that will actually find a third party and introduce a third party to ultimately buy it. The wholesalers typically, in many cases, don't have the cash to buy the house, but they're going under contract with you to ultimately find a buyer for that. And that's something you could probably do through a real estate agent. That's a choice that you want to make. But if you want to really streamline that with a real good cash home buyer, then that's something that you'll want to ask up front. So do the homework, look at the Better Business Bureau, check your state registrations, go to Google and look at the reviews, make sure the website's present. So do your reputation research first before you introduce someone into your house, and then from there you can feel a lot more confident that you're working with someone who's reputable, who will be there to close, and that you have confidence that ultimately you'll get all the variables and streamlined into the transaction you want without necessarily having to go through the traditional real estate process.